Here we go. Welcome to Double Dribble Bucks. I am Seth. With me, as always, is my good friend Brett. How you doing tonight, Brett?
I'm doing well, Seth. March Madness, Bucks are in the home stretch. So yeah, let's see how the rest of the season goes.
Yeah, speaking of the bracket, I have not even looked at a bracket yet. I used to live for this week. I do still intend to do a bracket, probably at 1 in the morning tonight. But yeah, I don't get to it until basically 1 in the morning the night before now.
Yeah, I used to get the USA Today. USA Today. Did I say that right? I feel like I said that wrong. Um, but I
That's
used to
right.
get it because even though I didn't really like that newspaper, they had a really good March Madness section, and I would often take off like the Monday and the Thursday, Friday. And the Monday, I would just go to like a coffee shop or something like that, read all like they had a breakdown of every team, like really like detailed thing, and then I'd make my bracket, and it was kind of just like a day. Well, this year I've done I think like three brackets, and it's literally me pulling up the bracket and being like, all right, here we go. Like just randomly pick something because I just got to get this in. And then I did another one in a bourbon league where like every time your team wins, you have a chance to win like a bottle. So like overall, you have a 25% chance to win something. But my teams are Oklahoma and BYU, which I don't love at all. And I'm kind of
I
like,
listened to a
come
podcast
on.
today, and Stanford Steve, actually, from SVP Show,
Yeah.
he he knew a lot. He gained some credibility. He even talked about how they always have games on. He's like, we watch a lot of games. We always have like 3 games, couple NBA, couple college games. But he was talking about all these teams, all these players. He knew like their strategies. It was pretty impressive. But he really liked BYU, so
Well,
maybe there's
that was
something.
the thing. BYU has a chance. It just sucks because like they're gonna probably have to play Wisconsin. So it's one of those things where it's like, all right, if Wisconsin wins, I can cheer for the fact that Wisconsin won. If they lose, all right, at least I have something in the game.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, little side note here, is so I like to watch the show, the obviously the bracket show, but then they like kind of break down like their instant reactions, so to speak.
Mhm.
And somebody, now I can't remember who it is. Wow, that's weird. Really likes High Point as like an upset pick, like a
They're
13
playing
seed.
Michigan, maybe, or
Purdue. They play
Purdue.
Purdue. So a 13-4 matchup, and Purdue is notoriously just shits the
Yeah.
bed in the tournament. So, whatever. So then I came across another one that was Barstool Sports, and they were talking about High Point College or University, whatever it is. And they said it's like apparently someone on their staff went there, and they said it's like if like you created a college on The Sims. They have like a ice cream truck cart, something like that, that's just free for all students. The campus is apparently absolutely beautiful, and they have like an on-campus steakhouse that is free because they teach you etiquette lessons when you go to the restaurant. They teach you how to like be at a fancy restaurant and like order and like do a whole thing. So it's like not only that had I already pick High Point, because I just don't think Purdue is going to do anything. Now I kind of like the idea of like Purdue like created like this, or High Point created this like perfect university, and it's like yeah, like go for it, like kick ass this year.
Yeah, go all the way.
Yeah.
High Point. Actually, I don't know why I was watching like a few minutes of this thing on Barstool Sports. I believe it was like their employees. They all have to choose a team. It's actually kind of a cool setup that I hadn't heard before. So it was either one person or maybe it was like two or three. So they figured it out like however many people are, how many selections there are. But they had to select 9 seed or lower, I think it was. And then they would, take the lottery ball as to like the order of who gets to pick. Um, and then they just pick a team, and this is their team. And whatever team that they pick, whoever goes the furthest wins $40,000. So
Hey.
it's like a bonus from their employer, I guess, or something like that.
Yeah.
It seemed pretty cool, but relatively early, someone picked High Point, and it was 3 girls, all women, and she picked one of them went to High Point, and she was like, "We're taking High Point. So I'm an alum. I got my team. Like, thanks for supporting me. Like, let's go High Point." And I'm like, that probably was a bad choice, but we'll see.
Probably a bad choice, but it's the thing like we're obviously on a tangent here, but like I appreciate Barstool Sports way more than I think I originally did.
Yeah,
because as we all know, like ESPN, I hate, but I really truly deep down think no one on ESPN watches sports. Like they really don't. Like I mean, the fact that there was like the guy, to bring it back to the Bucks, that's like, look, if Kevin Porter Jr. is getting minutes for the Bucks, then the Bucks are toast. And it's like, okay, well, if you actually watch the game, do you understand anything that's happening? Whereas Barstool Sports, I legit think all they do is watch sports or play sports or bet on sports or like if they have the ability to do anything but sports, it'll shock me. Like,
yeah.
So I'm all for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like them. I hated them for no reason back in the,
same.
I think when they were first getting popular.
Yeah.
I really had no reason to hate them, but I did. I was just like, oh, they're just dumb. And I don't know. It was a lot about gambling. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Now I'm like,
it was easy to hate him, and then I completely did a 180. I'm back. Yeah.
I mean, the big cat, is that his name? The main
Big
one
Cat,
of the main guys went to Wisconsin. Big Wisconsin
Yep.
man. So that's actually probably what kind of got me in.
Yes.
And now I kind of respect a lot of the things that they do and talk about. So
yeah, I 100% agree. Yeah.
All right, let's talk Bucks a little bit.
Let's talk Bucks. Yeah.
So yeah, last night we're talking after a pretty bad loss, the beginning of the West Coast road trip, 5-game road trip here, and they get a loss. They don't score a basket the last 5 minutes and 20 seconds, something like that. Just a brutal ending. So maybe let's start there. Any takeaways from the end of the game last night, or even in general with like Bucks end game offense?
So I will admit that these late games do kind of kill me. I was only able to watch the first half, and then I fell asleep. I tried my best, so I didn't see that there. But it's interesting because we beat the Thunder in the NBA Cup and played them really well, and it's the same team. It really is. I mean, we have new players, but it was very surprising, to your own point, that Doc did not have Ajax on Shea to try to figure something out. It's like trying to defend Doc. It's like, I understand Kevin Porter Jr. is a better overall player in the sense that like his shot, his offense is way better than Ajax. We know that. Like that's obvious. Yep. Is his defense better? I don't know. I mean, Doc must think so. I don't know the stats behind it. But I mean, at the same time, like you have Ajax, who is this Swiss Army knife type guy. You know that at worst, he will get in the face and upset somebody that's like playing well. And if SGA, who is, MVP front runner, he's going to play well, he's going to do his thing. What does it hurt to put him out there and just like be like, all I want you to do is be on the guy and just not leave him alone? I feel like that's actually like kind of some old school basketball, and I'm just really surprised that Doc, I don't know, something must be going on that he just does not want to give Ajax any minutes anymore.
Well, yeah, part of the thing with Ajax is it's basically Kuzma. It's actually like Kuzma replaced Ajax, as opposed to, I don't know, because we were kind of thinking Ajax was like a 2, right? Kuzma's not a 2, so I guess I didn't really totally think of it that way, but they're kind of similar players in that they're both not good on offense and they cause spacing problems for the Bucks. And even though Ajax is not a bad shooter, I think 39% from 3, so it's like not that bad. But he just, he was just awkward. Anything that wasn't a wide open 3 was, potentially a bad possession. But in addition to that, people, I guess, even though he's 39%, he wasn't really respected, and people, defenses laid off of him, and Giannis didn't have the space to do what Giannis does. And so the same thing is happening with Kuzma out there, actually, and it's kind of a problem. And you've seen Kuzma not in the lineup at the end of the game, end of a half, and kind of some of these times where basically the starters are in, but it's the starters minus Kuzma sometimes.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that's why. I think it's basically the same issue that Doc had with Ajax in the lineup, was the offense gets mucked up. Giannis can't do it what he wants. I don't know if Giannis is verbalizing it, they're having conversations, or if it's just what Doc sees. either way, it is true. Like that is kind of a problem. Even though Kuzma has some features and things that are good for the team, and he's slashing and he's getting buckets, and he's not only shooting poorly from three and that's all he's doing. Like he is doing some good things too, but yeah, the floor is just not spaced well at all, and that really is part of the problem. But anyhow, I think basically what happened there is like Kuzma and so we were saying KPJ replaced Ajax too, kind of. I guess they both kind of did, but it's like you can't have Kuzma and Ajax both in there. I think it's just like, at least for sure, I think Doc is thinking that. Like there's no chance I'm going to have both of those guys in there, and then just now you got KPJ coming in. It's just like there's just no room for Ajax in Doc's mind. But kind of like we were saying the other day, it's like at least throw him in here and there, at least with certain matchups like Shea, for sure, put him on for a few minutes. But also like there are times like last night when the team has no energy. They're just so flat. Nothing's working. AJ Green's missing every shot, whatever it is. And it's like, just change up the rotation. Just throw Ajax in here for a couple minutes and let's see if he can create a couple turnovers, like do something. He does have that spark and bring that energy, and the team is definitely missing that sometimes. So I do, I kind of get how it's tough to fit him in, sometimes. At the same time, I think he's just too important to just leave on the bench. In addition to looking long term, he's a young guy who you don't have to pay, and like it'd be pretty nice if he could like get better and be a real part of this team who you don't have to pay. Otherwise, we have to go get guys, and you can only pay so many. So then you get these vet minimums, and they're not that great. Like Taurean Prince is pretty good for the vet min, but he should not be playing 33 minutes a game or whatever he's playing. And it's just like,
right.
So that's like another reason to maybe just kind of give extra leeway, in my opinion, to Ajax and AJ Green. Just like if those guys can be good, they don't cost us that much in the next couple of years. And they have energy and they're young, like there's a lot, and Ryan Rollins, like those are all good reasons to like give him the benefit of the doubt, give him a couple extra minutes here and there. Like don't let him just ride the bench.
Yeah, and I think, having that energy off the bench is huge because, we all know that we're missing Bobby, who brings that energy. He just has a vibe to him that when he comes off the bench, that's what helps him as a sixth man. You don't have that. And so, like, AJ Green, as much as we love AJ Green, like, when he's not hitting his shots, you don't want him out there. Like, you can deal with his defense being average. We want to praise his defense because there are times where he's good. He's not great, but I can live with it if he's making a shot. If he's out there and he's not making a shot and that's the defense he's providing, it's like, I don't know what you're doing. So I'm really surprised that Green seems to have a longer leash than Ajax, because it's like, I know you want some offense, and that seems to be Doc's MO, that it's like, all right, the person coming off the bench has to bring offense. I don't understand why it's always got to be offense that's got to come off the bench. Like sometimes you just need a defensive spark to get everyone else going. Like Giannis is a defensive player of the year candidate every year. Dame is undersized, but he still tries at defense. Kuzma has some defensive prowess. Lopez, he's older, but he's obviously, a great defender as well. Like, have that spark come on and get these guys like energized so that it's not all on their shoulders. I don't know if I understand it. Like, I'm kind of sick of like defending Doc being like, well, he's going to figure it out later. It's like, this is the time to figure it out. Like, you're going against these West Coast teams that, look, they are probably better than some of these East Coast teams. And the goal isn't to make it to the finals, it's to win the finals. So like, this is the opportunity to give it a shot. Like, what do you got to lose? Especially when you end up losing the game by 11. And again, I only watched the first half, but I can't imagine it was too close at any point. I'm assuming it was kind of always a 10-point-ish game.
Last night?
Yeah.
The Bucks had the lead, I want to say. It
was
a
a
close game.
Okay.
It was a close game.
Okay.
In the third quarter, they came out and tied it up, basically.
Okay.
They basically hit a bunch of shots. And
I think when I went to bed, they were down like 20 or something like that. So I just kind of assumed.
Horrible in the second quarter.
Yeah.
It's just horrible. If you went to bed at that point, I was like, yeah, you had no hope.
Pretty much, yeah.
The Warriors really sucked in the third quarter, honestly, more than the Bucks were great. I mean, and then the Bucks had shots, but the Warriors turned it over like 9 times or so. I mean, they just kept. They were really sloppy. So we tied it up, and then it was a game for end of the third, fourth quarter.
Okay.
And we kind of gave it, and then we didn't score the last 5 minutes, and kind of gave it up. So yeah, we lost by 10 or something.
Yeah. That second quarter was really like, again, not to be ripping on any of the Warrior players, but like that white guy with the fro, Podznik or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Something
From
like
Wisconsin.
Yeah, like his threes were those threes that like, the ones where it feels like you're not even hitting the net. Like it's just such like the cleanest three you've ever seen.
I don't know
like,
if he missed like one shot or something.
Yeah, it's like how are you making these and making them like that? Like it's clearly like your shot, and like there's no, I know there's guys in your face, but you're hitting them like with such ease and such like, I don't know. It was kind of like frustrating to watch, and I was very happy to go to bed at the time. It's not like I felt like it was entertaining. So I'm upset that I missed like a comeback, but yeah, I guess the bigger picture here is, maybe Doc is trying to get the wins, but at the same time, like sometimes, like at least in the second quarter, when you feel the game slipping out of hand, like try something new, like try some energy, try some different looks, try something to mix it up.
The second quarter, I was yelling at the TV like, put Ajax in, like do something, change this rotation. He had, what did he have? He had a weird rotation. I can't think of who it was. I can't remember what it was. It was just such a weird rotation, and it was like, why? Oh yeah, he didn't have. He had Giannis, and then he had 4 guards basically, which I guess I'm not completely against, but it was just interesting that, and it went on for like 4 minutes. I think it was actually Giannis and the 4 guards, and then it was Brooke and the 4 guards. I want to say something like that. And so it was no Kuzma, no Prince, like no one at the 4. The 4 was essentially AJ Green. Yeah, I mean, it was pick who you want. It's AJ Green, it's GTJ, it's like Kevin Porter Jr. I don't know who is the 4. So it didn't totally make sense, and it wasn't working. And he like stuck with it forever. And it's like, why are you sitting Kuzma and Prince? Like, it seems like one of those guys would fit in this lineup right now. Like, it just didn't make any sense. Like, did you think through this rotation? Like, did you purposefully try to get to this point? I just didn't get that. It didn't work. It wasn't horrible. I think we essentially tied those minutes, so I guess it was fine, but it was just kind of weird. It was just like, what's happening here? So, I don't know.
Well, to kind of switch gears a little bit, how do you feel this team is set up for like a deep playoff run? Because I think that's the challenge, like, because you go against OKC and then you go up against the Warriors, and it's like you're on a West Coast trip. This is the time to really find out, like, all right, like, do we have what's in it? And so before I ask you that, officially, I used a little AI today to come up with some quick stats for you, because I'm not the stat guy. So over the last 20 years, the NBA champion had the best record of their conference 65% of the time. So not crazy. And was the number 1 seed 70% of the time. So there's still a good margin of error. It's not impossible. Mm-hmm. The lowest seed to win the NBA title in the last 20 years was a 3 seed. So AI Grok 3 is saying that the Bucks need to get that 3 seed to really statistically have a chance. That would mean winning 15 to 17 games out of the remaining 20, I think. Okay. I don't remember. I should probably be. So it's not a huge room for error to be able to get that 3 seed. Plus the Knicks would have to slide. So a lot of things would have to go right. So just with those stats and kind of just your overall thing, like how are you feeling today about the Bucks' legitimate chances to be a title contender?
Not good, I would say. And I was going to bring a similar question up. I mean, they are 5th in the East, a half game up on the Detroit Pistons. That doesn't sound good. Just
no,
right
it doesn't
there.
sound good. No,
it's not like we lost Giannis for a month or Dame. They've missed a couple games here and there, but not a significant amount. We've pretty much been healthy for the most part. We lost Bobby for 25 games, but in terms of who we've lost, it shouldn't have, significantly altered the success of the team. Sure, maybe you lose 5 max less games, I guess, because of that. So that's not really an excuse. And, the trade was something, but the trade wasn't like this huge, gigantic thing. We traded a guy we like who just wasn't quite playing enough and worried about injuries. And we got a guy who plays, gives energy. He does some good things. He's not perfect, but that's kind of a wash, maybe we'll say. And here we are, 5th in the East, almost 6. I mean, we definitely should be a top 6 seed, so at least it's not that bad. But that's not good. I mean, you say that in the beginning of the season, that's like a huge disappointment. I mean, it's basically a failure. You're going to be the 5 or 6 seed. Like, that's pretty bad. And it seems almost impossible to get a 3 seed, but you're right. I mean, we could if we go 17-3 or something, and if we do that, then we're probably, playing really well. The team figured some things out, and you're entering the playoffs on a run, and then at that point you probably think, we have a shot to win for sure. So I think Grok might be onto something with, we need to get that 3 seed to really make a run, because if we don't, then we're 12-8 over the next games. We're 10-10 over the next 20 games. That's just kind of what we've done all season. And that doesn't seem to me like a team that's going to win, 4 series to win a championship. Like, we can win a series, but I don't know if we can get out of the second round. Like, that seems, and here's the thing. We have the players. Like, I don't care what people say about the team that we have and who we have around. Like, we have the talent to do it. I am putting 95% of the blame on Doc Rivers for not figuring this out. He's had plenty of time. There's no more excuses. Other teams make trades in the middle of the season. Like, there's no excuse in my mind. He has failed. We should be better than what we are. The numbers should be better than what we are. Everything should be better. Why is it not good? It doesn't make sense. The 2 players individually are awesome and have great stats, and we have really good shooters around them. It's just odd because you look at the stats, you'd think we're a top 5 team, but then you watch them play and you're like, they don't look like a top 5 team. And our record is not a top 5 team, and the offensive rating and the defensive rating and like all of those numbers are not top 5, and it's just like, we're just not. So I feel like we could be, if we had the right coach and made the right changes. But I don't have confidence that that's going to happen. So unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen this year.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But I do agree. It's I try to be a Bucks homer, try to be optimistic all the time, but it's like, we're not in a good position right now. And it is Doc. It is Doc, because it's like, okay, you can't look at Giannis and Dame and say that doesn't work, because they're the highest scoring duo in the league. They're playing well. They work well together. It's a fit. The problem is, the supporting cast, you look at the supporting cast, I don't know. We watch enough Bucks games. Like, these guys have talent. Like, there's no gaping hole. Like, just because you don't know Kevin Porter Jr., Taurean Prince, all these players that you're like, they're garbage. Okay, I'm sorry. Like, you can go to Phoenix. How great is Phoenix doing where you can name every player? Like, I'm sorry, that's not the way it works. Mm-hmm. But Doc, I don't even know if I can pinpoint what it is. It's figuring out these minutes. It's figuring out these lineups. It's maybe he's just too old. Maybe he's just out of touch. I don't know what it is. But the reality is, can we win a first round series? Yeah, I think we can. I would be shocked if we couldn't win the first round series. Second round is where you get to the challenge, and you're going up against a team that all these other Eastern teams seem to be bypassing us, and we still have one of the best players in the entire league on our team, and the number 2 to him has been playing fantastic. So it's like, I'm sorry, where are you going to point the blame? You can't point it at Taurean Prince making veteran minimum, Gary Trent Jr. minimum, AJ Green, Ajax, bunch of, like, it's the coaching staff. And it's, I don't understand why you got Doc Rivers in the first place. I could try to justify it in the fact that you thought that we had such a whiff that you wanted an experienced coach to come in here, and maybe that's something that he kind of righted the attitude, but he's just gone. He just doesn't have the strategy. He doesn't know what he's doing to go for a title here. Like I think we're at the point where we need to start having a serious conversation of, if the Bucks have a first round exit, what do you expect to happen? And if it's a second round exit, what do you have happen? I think we talked about before, if it's a first round exit, you have to fire Doc. And if you don't fire Doc, I don't know what the fuck you're doing anymore. If it's a second round exit, now it's a different conversation. I could see them bringing Doc back, saying it's not him. If you don't bring Doc back, then you have to figure out something. You have to find a better replacement for Brooke. Again, not that Brooke's the problem, but that's an option. You got to figure out, like, I don't know. You got to figure out a lot of things. I don't rule out firing Doc if you lose in the second, but I don't know. I just don't have the same great feeling that I had throughout the season, I guess. Even when we weren't playing well, I still was like, I think we can put it together, and I just don't feel it.
Yeah. I was going to... I looked up some stats thinking that they were going to be a certain thing to just bury Doc. That was my I was going to come into this podcast and say, like, that's it. Like,
yeah.
You're done. Which I am kind of saying. But the stats gave me, I guess, a little bit of optimism in terms of since the All-Star break compared to our overall ranking. So looking at a few different things. One, just record. Overall rank, we were the 13th. Since the All-Star break, we're 9th. Offensive rating's about the same, but defensive rating's a little bit better, and the net rating is a little bit better. We jumped 3 spots. And actually what really got me looking at this was hearing, I think actually even 2 weeks ago we talked about how we're horrible in the clutch on offense, but we're really good on defense. We had, I think 2 weeks ago, it was the second best defense, second worst offense. So I was like, that's terrible. What's the deal? So I looked into that, and I was also kind of thinking NBA teams don't necessarily like give their best effort until the end of the game, right? So then I was like, I'm going to look at the fourth quarter, and I was kind of thinking like, I'm worried, like, how bad are we in the fourth quarter? Like maybe that's part of the issue here is we're just not as good when we're playing the teams giving their best effort, when we're playing the best teams, right? Because against the best teams, we have a pretty terrible record. I didn't look that up, but, you know, the Cavs, the Celtics, just lost to OKC, just lost to Golden State, whatever. So anyway, some of these numbers, fourth quarter offense, we were the worst in the league overall, or we are the worst overall. But in the last 15 games since the All-Star break, we're 20th. So we've actually improved on fourth quarter offense, which I would not have thought, but we've improved actually a decent amount. Defense is about the same, and then our net rating, we've jumped 10 spots from 20th to 10th. So, I mean, 10th net rating, it's top 10, right? You want to be top 10 in these numbers, you know, like championship teams are typically top 10 in both offense and defense, blah, blah, blah. So we're actually top 10 fourth quarter net rating. We're top 10 net rating. We're top 10 defense. And then in the clutch, we're 24th offense, not last, the last 15 games. And we're second on defense and a 5th net. So in the last 15 games, we're kind of basically playing like a top 10 team, which is good, but it's still not, you know, that's the top third of the league. So it's like, if we're the 10th best team in the league, that's pretty much what we are, right? That's what we're saying. Like, that's not good enough. But the optimism is that we're improving from some of those numbers. So maybe the trade, you know, has improved somewhat, and if we can continue to improve, you know, maybe that's something to hope for. But after a game like last night and, you know, some of these losses the past week, you know, you're not so optimistic.
So let's say the Bucks lose their first round series, okay, and Doc stays, but you know that if we're not one of the top 2 teams in the East, he will be fired by Christmas of next year. Okay, let's just say you know that. What would you change about the team knowing that Doc is still here, Giannis and Dame are still here? Well, maybe not. I'll just say all you know is Doc is here, and if he goes into the new year and doesn't finish by Christmas as one of the top 2 teams in the East, he's gone. What other change would you have to make?
Off the top of my head, I mean, number one, I've been thinking for a while, like, I don't want Brook back. I want to figure it out without Brook. For one, he's old, and it's kind of risky at this point, and you have to sign a new contract. Like, what's that going to be? I don't want that money. I mean, if he wants to come back on the vet, honestly, I just don't want him back. I just don't want him in the mix. I want to figure it out with a more athletic big, and maybe more Giannis at the 5, which Doc won't do. Secondly, I'd trade Kuzma. I'd look to trade Kuzma because he sucks at shooting threes. That's not going to change. He's always sucked. That's just part of his deal, and he shoots too many. And the spacing, I guess more importantly, according to all these other guys, like it's just really, is the other team going to guard you? You know, so like you could be a bad shooter as long as they guard you, and then you're creating the space for Giannis in theory. But they're not creating the space, and he's missing the shot. You know, with Ajax, they're not giving the space, but he makes it. So you know, that's a little bit better. And I don't hate Kuzma as a player, but you know, it's a decent amount of money. He's a starter. Again, if he's on the team, Doc's coaching, he's going to get a lot of minutes. If we can trade that for someone who can, you know, be an athletic defender type guy, but also spread the court, you know, that's what Giannis needs. That, you know, Giannis goes to the rim every single time. And if they can just all build a wall every single time and not really worry if you're going to pass it out to Kuz, that's hard. That's just really hard for him to be, you know, the best player in the world. So last night, he, you know, maybe it was other things, but last night Giannis was one of his worst games of the season, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd probably look to trade Kuzma. I would not sign Brook Lopez, and those are kind of the 2 big things I would do. You know, I'm sure I'd do kind of other stuff around the edges, but that's what comes to mind.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think, you know, it's one of those things like Brook. I think as a Bucks fan, you love Brook. He gave a lot of great years. He's out there. He's busting his ass. He's not the problem, but he's also not the solution. You know, it's going to suck to not see him out there because we've seen him out there for a very long time. But you're right. I mean, it's just he just isn't fitting in the modern NBA. He can't keep up with a Chet Holmgren. He can't keep up with a Wemby.
Well, I mean, last night, Post is the guy's name, who no one knows. He's one of the centers on the Warriors, and he shoots threes. See, they even mentioned he doesn't post up. You know, he shoots threes, and he, sure enough, you know, made a few threes when Lopez was in, and Lopez is just late to come and contest them, and it's like Doc can't help himself, or I don't know. I mean, he doesn't have many options, I guess, especially with Sims out. But it's like you don't have to, like, Giannis and 4 guards, you did it earlier, like just do that more, I guess. Or again, you have Kuzma, you have Prince, you have other people, but yeah, Doc can't help himself. He's playing Lopez just so many minutes in these matchups that don't make sense.
It feels, I mean, we've talked about this before, but I feel like Doc feels like he owes these guys something, and it's like, look, Doc, I understand that you have a contract, you're gonna get paid regardless, but you're still fighting for your job. Like, do you really want to be the guy that won a championship with the Celtics, and ever after that, you're the butt of all the jokes because you can't do it again? You know, you are absolutely god awful in Game 7s, and you can't, like, you know, you took a team that fired their coach that was number 1 in the East, and you just continued to drive them down into barely hanging on to a 6 seed. Wow, good job for you. Like, I'm glad you're a millionaire, and maybe you don't give a shit, but you're gonna look like a fucking laughing stock. And then to do it in Milwaukee where you played college ball, like, I don't know, I'm sorry, but like part of you's got to give a shit that like this is how I'm going out. So I'm glad that you're having a great time with Darvin Ham and sitting there and picking each other's butt and laughing at all about whatever the hell's going on, but like fucking change something, do something, mix it up. Brook's not going to be here next year, so bench him if you need to on the matchups, but like I'm starting to get really fucking sick of it. Mm-hmm. Like it's just it really is just bullshit, and I don't know what the hell he's doing. At this point, if we didn't have the 6th seed, right? Worst case scenario, what would we be? 7 seed? like it would have to be in the play-in game, right? It seems very unlikely.
That would be bad.
If that happened, I would just,
yeah.
I would walk out on the court as an owner in the middle of a game and go, get the fuck out of here. And just, you're gone. Like, that's what I would do. Be like, that's not what I'm going to tolerate around here. Like, this is just getting frustrating. Like, I don't think Adrian Griffin was the answer, but it wasn't solved by Doc. Like, I'm just getting so
looking back, that
annoyed.
I mean, I think you could easily say, well, you should not have fired Coach Bud.
Sure, that's an easy answer.
I'm not sure about that, actually.
Yeah,
but
right.
Let's just say whatever that happened. I mean, yeah, I'd rather have Adrian Griffin. I'd rather just to see how that goes. Doc has not been good, and it's just not going anywhere. Like you're saying, like something has to change. You have to make some changes here, and we're not seeing it. So one thing he says, speaking of bullshit, he said it a few times this season where we'll have like a terrible defensive game, and then he'll say like, well, we need the offense to get going. He was like, I really didn't think it was the defense. I think it was the offense. Like, we need the offense to like get going, to like get the defense going. He's just so stuck on offense. So, like, first of all, like, I've never heard anyone say that. I've many times heard the defense gets the offense going. Heard that a ton of times. And it seems obviously true just from watching it happen so many times. But yeah, I've never heard it the other way around until Doc says it. Oh, it's convenient. Oh, yeah, we don't have to worry about defense. We have to worry about offense. Like, that doesn't make sense. And also, you're right that the offense sucks. And why does this suck? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And the offense, by the way, was not the problem when Adrian Griffin was here. The defense was the problem. And it's just like so out of whack. And it's like, what the hell is going on?
We remember Mike D'Antoni, who was all about if you score enough points, defense doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
And Mike D'Antoni won, what, 15 titles? Oh, wait, he didn't win any.
0.
It didn't work. The guy sucked. So maybe we learn a lesson from Mike D'Antoni that it never worked. It doesn't work. So, look at Dallas is the current laughingstock for trading Luka. But they're like, defense wins championships. We have to focus on a defensive presence. So when you get your ass kicked on defense, to come out and be such a moron that you say it's the offense that caused our defense to suck. I mean, do you really have shit for brains? Are you just like that dumb? Like, it really is so frustrating. Like, Doc is setting this up to like me, like legitimately hating the guy based on this season. And it's not even over. And there's still a lot of optimism. There should be. I don't know. I'm so done with this guy at this point.
He's got to earn it. Well, let's take a look at the offense a little bit. I looked at some numbers here. How many times do you think, it's hard to even trust some of these numbers, but according to NBA.com stats, how many possessions per game do you think Giannis has in isolation?
Oh, I'm terrible at guessing stuff. I would say 15.
Okay. I would have said that too. It seems like a lot, right? It's like way too much. First of all, like this happens all the time. It says that he only has 5 per game, which is not a low number, but it just seems a lot higher than that when you watch the game.
Yeah.
But the main point here is that he only gets 0.93 points per possession on isolation plays, which is not like horrid, but that's not good. It's not something that you should just be hitting on repeat if you're only getting 0.93. Like Dame, for example, gets 0.99. So Dame in isolation has been better than Giannis in isolation this season. So that's like one thing to look at and be like, okay, maybe don't do that as much. Run more play, because that's one thing I've thought is it seems like there's too much of not running a play, not running an action, not making the defense work. It's just, and sometimes it's like Giannis will go up to set a pick, but he doesn't really, and like nothing really happens. And I think it's actually because the defense doesn't respect him and in terms of shooting a 3, and so it's kind of easier for them to just kind of guard Dame and kind of let Giannis sit there. And I don't know, it's just kind of easier for the defense to deal with it. And so the pick doesn't really work half the time. So that's a problem that needs to be worked out. Either way, the isolation, it just feels like there's too much of it, and it's seemingly not working all that well. And the pick and roll, Dame gets 1.07 points per possession. That's pretty good. But he does do that 9 times a game, which is kind of a lot. So it's like, and when you watch the game, it seems to happen a lot. I'd say more with Brook than Giannis.
Yes.
But that's pretty good. But, let's look at some of these things. Like something I thought yesterday, and this is probably more Kuzma's fault than Doc's fault, maybe. But, like, Kuzma shouldn't be shooting so many three-pointers. And yesterday in the third quarter, he hit, like, 3 in a row. Good for him. But, like, we don't want to be living and dying on Kuzma shooting threes. He's like a 30% three-point shooter. Yes. And then the problem was he hit 3 in a row. Great. Okay, so now he does, like, a stupid heat check, right, which is, like, a dumb shot early in the shot clock, contested. Like, just don't take that shot. And then later he had a transition and he just, like, stopped, pull up 3. Like, what are you doing? You should never take a pull up 3 in transition.
Yes.
And he just got into him like, hey, I made some threes. I'm just going to keep shooting threes. And it's like, you have to know who you are. And you're old enough now. Like, you should know who you are. We're saying, like, he kind of does know who he is. Well, maybe he doesn't, because he took way too many shots yesterday and he way too many 3-pointers. And it's just like, that shouldn't be happening. You're not the guy to be doing that. We have a lot of good 3-point shooters. So,
yeah, Kuzma, like, it's great that you can make a 3. And it's great that you can have a couple of them, but like, you're not a heat check guy. Like that.
I like that.
You're like the guy that, like, remember when Manute Bol hit like 5 threes in a game?
No,
remember that? You should look it up. It's kind of crazy.
Awesome.
But it was like, it's like Manute Bol hitting a 3. Like, yeah, like, holy shit, this is just weird that this is happening for you. Like, but we're not dialing it up for you. Like, Kuzma, like, don't do a pull-up 3 in transition. Like, I don't want you doing that. You should never do that. You should go on the bench for doing that. Like, you got to be smarter than that. There's enough, to your point, enough player. Like, Dame doing a heat check, yeah, fine, do that all day. AJ Green is maybe potentially in that ability to have a heat check. Gary Trent Jr., Taurean Prince, just the way he's been playing, kind of stops there. Like, I don't want Brook doing heat checks. I don't want Giannis to make one and do a heat check. Like, it just stop doing that. Like, Kuzma, I appreciate his energy that he has on defense. I appreciate that he's a tall guy, that he adds something there. But yeah, know where you are. Like, even Bobby knows not to be shooting 4 threes a game. Like, yeah. I think Bobby out there wouldn't do a heat check, pull up transition 3. He's smarter enough to know that.
The pull-up transition was just terrible. And we had taken the lead. We had come back from like 15, 16 down all the way back. And then we had those 2 just terrible possessions. And it's like, man, we just kind of missed an opportunity to step on their throat, kind of. The stat I missed here was Kuzma gets the most spot-up shots per game for the Bucks. Which is like, why is that happening? And he only scores 0.83 points per possession, which is pretty bad. Meanwhile, you have Gary Trent Jr. and AJ Green getting 1.22 points per spot-up shot. But they don't get as many as Kuzma. It's like, you're taking too many. We need to know this, And part of the problem is he's getting open looks because they're not guarding him because he sucks at it. It's like, so it's part of it's like putting him in the position to do, like, well, if you're going to be out there and you're going to have a wide open 3, it's kind of like, you kind of have to. That's what we said about Ajax. Like, you have to take that shot.
Yeah.
But if you're taking more spot up shots than anybody else and you're making 30% of them, that's probably not helping the team.
No.
So that's we need to change that. So Kuzma honestly should maybe play less. He maybe shouldn't start because maybe he shouldn't play with Giannis as much. Maybe he's a better second rotation guy. I'm not totally sure, but there's kind of a problem there that needs to be fixed with Kuzma in this offense.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think that's the problem that, like, Doc's coaching staff has is, we continue to say this. It's like, do you owe these guys something? Like, Kuzma, I think most people are happy that he's on the team. He's been a pleasant surprise overall based on just the eye check. But you don't owe him shit. He's been with the team for a short amount of time. You don't owe him anything. He's not a veteran that deserves respect. He's not some guy that's been with the organization for a long period of time. Like, move shit around. You know, you have PC, who's won a title and been with Milwaukee forever, and you've no problem treating him like shit. Having him sit on the bench with his super tight pants and making him sit there all day. Why do you feel like you have to make Kuzma start? Why do you have to feel like you have to do these? Like, be creative, mix some stuff up. That's why you're about to lose your job, Doc. I'm sorry. Like, it's just kind of, I don't know. It's just dumb. Kuzma should not be taking the most shots in any game. Taurean Prince should not be leading in minutes in any game. It's not a knock on these guys, but this is like no-brainer shit. Like, I don't understand. I just don't understand it. It's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, it's, you know, part of it's like, who on the team has earned the right and just has been good enough to always get 35 minutes plus? Like, yeah, who would you say? Yeah.
Yeah, Giannis
right?
and Dame.
It's like, that's it. So, you know, the other guys could be like, who's hot? What's the matchup? You know, who's giving me energy tonight? You know, who's not? Who's like, what are you doing tonight? You know, like, sorry, you're on the bench. Like, you're not giving it tonight. Like, there should be more of a mix with those other guys. And it seems like, he loves Prince no matter what Prince is doing. Like, there have been some games in the past 10 games where Prince is like, you know, just lazy. Like, you know, what are you doing out there? And he still gets 32 minutes. And it's just like, maybe this is, and earlier in the season, he would bench Prince. I remember a number of games where Prince did not finish the game, even though he started, and he wasn't in that finishing unit. And now in the past 10, 20 games, it seems like Prince is just locked in as part of that starting unit who's going to finish the game, and he's going to get 30 minutes. And I'm not sure what changed there. And Prince did Prince get better? Like, I don't, you know, he's been kind of the same guy all season, I thought. So I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, you know, there's something with these coaches. I mean, you think back to Adrian Griffin when Bobby had like a super amazing first quarter, and then he got benched for Grayson Allen. And there's like the video where he's like yelling at Griffin, being like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, Grayson's been heating up, and I got to keep him out there." And he's like, "I've had fucking 21 points in the first quarter. Like, I'm hot right now." But it's like this weird thing where it's like they don't know how to, like, you know, look, if you have a guy, I don't care who it is. You get Taurean Prince out there and he's got 21 points in the first quarter. Okay, keep him in the game. I don't care. That's the game he gets 33 minutes, 32 minutes, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
But the game that he's got 6 points and he's on, you know, minute 30 in the fourth quarter, what are you doing? What is this guy bringing to you that you're out there with 6 points and 30 some minutes? I don't understand this philosophy. I don't know. I'm getting worked up here.
Yeah. You didn't even see the second half last night. So
I know. I didn't even see it, and I'm getting all worked up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we got 4 more games on this road trip, which I guess I haven't looked. I feel like last year we were not good on the West Coast road trip. Maybe I'm just thinking of one West Coast road trip that we were bad on.
Yeah. I feel like you're right, though. I don't feel like the West Coast trip was great last year. It's been a while since we've been productive out there.
But, you know, I mean, we just got a break, and we blew it with no Steph Curry. There's going to be no LeBron, probably, for the Lakers.
Yep.
The Kings aren't that good. The Suns suck. Like, we should go at least 3-2 on this 5-game road trip, and I'm worried about it. I don't know.
I am too. Yeah, you know, I think transition to something. So we just went to the game against the Pacers, which was a great game, great win, great seats, great time. Let's take a quick moment to talk about the horrible officiating that was taking place. It was a crew that I didn't really recognize, to be honest. I feel like I watch a lot of Bucks games and I don't really recognize it. And it's like, You watch a clip from the 80s or 90s of some of these players who are doing like a Euro step and getting called for traveling. There's no replay. You can look at it. You're like, you didn't travel for shit. You clearly were great. And it was like, you just weren't prepared for what the game was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I felt the ref team, what do I want to call it? The ref, yeah, I'm going to call it the ref team. Crew, thank you. Was not prepared to call a game that featured Giannis. That was like super frustrating. Looking back at the clips, watching it live, like if you're not prepared to handle the type of game that the guy's going to have, you should not be out there. And the NBA needs to be looking at that game and reprimanding that team, because that was like bullshit. And look, I'm going to call it out. That woman ref was the one that was, I think she called 3 of the fouls on Giannis, and it was all within a very short amount of time, and none of them were fouls at all.
Yeah, the one I can think of, the one that comes to my mind is the charge call where he had that awesome dunk.
Yes.
And it didn't, when you're at the game, it's kind of hard to be objective, I guess I'd say. But
sure.
I did see the clip later. And it was not a charge. I mean, he like got in his way after Giannis had made the move to the basket. So basically, he didn't beat him to the spot. It's kind of obvious. Yesterday, I don't know if it was the first half or not, there was, I would say, even a worse charge call that was reversed because Doc challenged it. But it was Draymond Green, like, got to the spot so obviously late. It wasn't even a question at all, like, live. And they actually called a charge. My mind was blown. Like, how could you possibly call that a charge? Like, you must not have been looking, and you just caught it at the last second, just kind of picked it. Like, I guess it's a charge. So yeah, that's 2 charges in the past couple games that have been really terrible calls. So yeah, that is honestly, both of the past games have just been frustrating, and it's not even always like against the Bucks, just on both ways with these refs.
Yeah.
It's just like you're not calling a great game. It's a tough thing to do, but you are also at the highest level of basketball refereeing, so I think we can expect you not to make horrible mistakes.
100%. It's a tough job. I get it, and it's one of those things though. It's like, the way that the games have evolved, I don't feel like the refs have evolved. Like, they still have a 3-person crew. It's still just a bunch of old guys making their best guess on what the call was. And it's, maybe I shouldn't even call out old guys, because like Scott Foster, who is always fighting with Chris Paul, has actually been a really good ref in the games I've been watching. Like, the guy really knows and doesn't seem to make terrible calls all that often. There's another ref, an older black guy. I don't know who he is, but same type of thing. Like, he has been, hitting his calls, and he's been playing really well. And I think even Marcus Johnson calls that out. But then when you have some of these other guys that you would imagine have a better understanding of the game and understand some of these things, are by far the worst. And I think that's the bigger challenge that we have to deal with. Like, other people are like, oh, I'm sick of these reviews and the constant replays to get the call right. But if the refs are going to be as god awful as they are, like, these are some of the things you got to fix. Like, you're just kind of ruining the game, and it gets you mess up the rhythm. You get, like, Giannis's game is built around, penetrating for the basket and getting some of these calls, but he's also like, he's not bullying them over like a Shaq would. He's like working around them. He's using finesse, and he's trying to do this. So to be treating it the same way, I think is just absolutely terrible. So I just had to get that out, that it was just, the more I've been rewatching these replays and like some of these games, it's just like kind of bothersome.
Yeah, it's been frustrating. Okay, well, we're going to be happier. We're going to be more joyful, more optimistic next time. I can feel it. And yeah, hopefully the Bucks can work to make us feel that way, and work to a point where come playoff time, we have some hope. We're thinking, what, the Bucks could pull this off. We have, what we say is the best player in the world. Therefore, you have a chance to win it. So, come on, Bucks, make us feel good about this. Come on, Doc.
We could do it. That's right.
Tweak a couple things. Be smart. Let's go Bucks. You can email us. There's no email, no mailbag this week. Doubledribblebucks@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at PodDDB. And until next time, go Bucks.